All right, so welcome to Gamification with Google Slides. I'm Kendra Cameron Jarvis. I'm the Digital Learning Facilitator for the Robertson District. I'm gonna let Pam introduce herself. Sorry, Pam.
Sorry, I'm admitting people. I was
I
trying
know
to
you
click on.
were.
My name is Pam Johnson, and I'm Digital Learning Facilitator for Reynolds. And sorry, my lighting is kind of funky, but I still wanted to keep this on. I told her I looked like I had game eyes on, so.
So we tried to make this fun today because gamification is fun. I've been in education for 17 years, and my premise has always been to make things fun. I think education should be fun. And so that's what gamification is. It's still teaching your content, making sure that you're starting with those standards, but adding those game elements to make your content come to life and meaningful for students. So gamification, it's that buzzword that we've heard for a long time. 2010 is when it appeared and started being linked to education. And people started talking about gamification and how to gamify something. So that's what we're going to talk about today. This is our agenda. So we're going to talk about what is gamification, which we just kind of did a quick overview. We're going to talk about why it's important to use gamification. We'll talk about the benefits, research-based benefits, because there's a lot of research out there right now. We're going to play a game. So you can experience a game and see how we set it up. So maybe you can replicate that in your classroom. Then depending on how many people have, we've got some different videos to give you some choices of creating different games, learning how to create them. And you'll watch that video in a breakout room and have some time to talk about it. We're going to have a Padlet discussion so that we have that social piece to our game elements. We're going to talk about some tech skills that you might need to create gamified lessons. We have to consider what are some extra things that you need to consider as you think about adding gamification to your content, and then some resources. So that's today. Today is an hour. We're going to need the hour to get you ready to gamify your content. So this is really informal. Anytime you've got a question, please feel free to unmute and share your question. But you also have a lot of experience as educators, and I'm sure that you have done some gamification in your classroom without even knowing that you've done it. So at any time you would like to share, we would love to hear from you. So you're welcome to unmute or stick your comment or questions in the chat. So the big why are we gonna add gamified elements to our classroom? All the research says is that it increases that engagement and motivation in your students. So right now we're all concerned about how do we engage these kids? And you could have two classrooms, all right? You could have one classroom, the traditional classroom. The kids are maybe working on a math assignment, the teacher's up there modeling, right? You could have a next door classroom, same content, but with those gamified elements where kids are leveling up. There's some friendly competition. There are some sort of leaderboard, there's some sort of badging, and there's some sort of socialization. Those two classrooms are going to look really different. You're going to have kids really engaged and motivated and invested in that gamified classroom. So these are just the benefits. So we did talk about the level of engagement goes up. The kids are motivated. They really care about the content, which is what we want them to do, right? We want them to care about what we're teaching. Adding those gamified elements improves students' content knowledge and their retention because they practice over and over and over again that content to get to whatever level they need to achieve in order to unlock the next level. right? So they're practicing more and more and more. Depending on your game and your content, you could add some examples of real world applications in there, and you're going to see some of that in the videos that we watch later on. And it just enhances that overall learning experience for students. So really quickly, I started out as an 8th grade ELA teacher. Before we went one-to-one, I had no smartboard. And you've probably done this too, but I used a lot of games in my classroom because I saw that it motivated students. And we did these vocabulary worksheets. They were almost like puzzles that kids had to figure out, right? I could have done it one of two ways. I could have given a worksheet to each kid and said, okay, figure it out, right? That's not fun, right? However, I put them into groups and I set a timer and put it up at the start of the class so they could see the time trickling down. And they had to work together in their team very quietly to figure out the vocabulary puzzle. And once they thought they had it right, they had to run up to the front of the room and secretly show me, I was the judge, right, to see if they got it right. And as they were all working, I would walk around the room and I would very loudly give them feedback so that the other groups could hear, oh, you need to look at number 3 again. That third box needs to be changed to an R, things like that. Totally motivated the students. Then the prize was usually, I don't know, a couple points on their exam on Friday or a piece of candy. It was not a big deal, but those kids were going crazy in my classroom. And so that was my start of gamification. And it was with a worksheet that every EL teacher was doing. I just started adding those pieces, those gamified elements into my class without technology. Okay. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to try this game, and I'm going to play a little portion of this video, okay? She's going to talk about a game that she's created and kind of talk about how you play it. Once she explains how to play it, we're going to put you, Pam, do we have enough people to do breakout rooms today for this? I don't know how many.
Yeah, we've got 16.
Okay, we're going to put you into breakout rooms and let you actually play this game. What you'll have to do before you go into breakout rooms is you're going to have to click on that little white box to make a copy of the Google Slide template. That will give you a copy of the game. Okay, so if you haven't done that already, go ahead and make your own copy of that template. And then I'm going to go ahead and hit play and let her explain how to play this game.
The play is called Guess What?
If you have ever played the game Guess Who, then you are very familiar with Guess What. And Guess What is basically a game where you are trying to guess your opponent's mystery word by asking them a series of yes or no questions. And the beauty of Guess What is that you can edit it so you don't have to use the vocabulary words, and it's also linked with Quizlet so that you can have your students practicing the words so they're familiar with it before actually playing the game. And once your students are ready to play the game, they are going to choose whichever vocabulary word, as you can see here. So let's pretend that I'm one of the opponent. So for example, I have set aside this word and my opponent has to guess that word. And as I'm asking them questions based on the word that they have set aside, the students can literally drag those words off of there so that they can eliminate those and know that that is not their secret word. And they're doing the same thing when they're trying to guess my word. So that's the beauty of it. And you can have students work in teams, or you can have students play one-on-one.
Oh, okay. All right, perfect. Okay.
I'm also going to put that link, that direct link, in case some people aren't on the slide yet, in the chat. So if you just click the next link in the chat, this will be for the copy of the slide template.
So playing that game, what are some game elements? What would you say are some game elements that were used in that game?
Hi.
Oh. Game elements?
Yep.
Oh, well, strategy, depending on the questions that you asked.
Yep. Okay. Strategy, yeah.
I guess a little bit of competition to see who can get to the correct answer the fastest.
Yep. Yep. Okay. Anything else?
It was fun.
Oh, I'm glad. Yeah, it was fun. That's part of gaming, right? And then, was there a time? Like, did you have a set number of minutes to work in there?
Well,
Right?
with you,
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So there were some game elements, and we're gonna in just a minute talk about. It's really my opinion, but just 4 game elements that I feel are really important in education. And some of those that we just talked about are mentioned. So let me go ahead and share my screen again. I'm glad it was fun. Awesome. All right, here we go. Oh no, please don't play again.
The play is called Guess.
Okay. Move you guys over. There we go. I don't know if you guys have to do this when you do Zoom. Constantly move your people over so you can see your buttons. So these are 4 elements that I feel are really important when you're adding that gamification to your content. And where did I get these? I got these from my daughter. So I have a 13-year-old daughter. She's gonna be 13 in a couple weeks. And she has been remote this entire pandemic. And she plays this game. It's called Roblox. Have y'all heard of that?
yes.
You have. Okay, good. Because
Yeah.
I felt so like I felt old when she started to. Because I would call it what did I say? Roadblocks. She's like, Mom, you got to say it correctly. You sound so old. So it's Roblox, just for anyone else out there. So your kid doesn't dish you. So when she gets finished with her schoolwork, that's what she does. She gets on Roblox and she's a little bit obsessed with it. It's a multiplayer game.
My kids too.
Okay, so it's not just mine. Okay. So she has a friend that lives in Charlotte and they go into the same game together with all these other people that she doesn't know, but they can talk to each other and strategize. And they can see how many points they get. They've got choices of where they want to go and what they want to do in this world. It reminds me, and this is going to show my age, but it reminds me of The Sims. Anyone ever play The Sims?
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Anyone else? Okay. That's what it reminds me of, because it's like this made up world. There's all these different games. Like she likes Adopt Me, and then there's actually a game about school. It's like Royal High School or whatever, and they actually do math problems and stuff like that in there, but she's motivated to do it because of these gamified elements. So when you're adding these pieces to your content, you need to have that social aspect, right? You need to have some sort of way to add friendly competition, or at least for that individual student to be able to track their progress. So think about games that you play. You've got a leaderboard, or you at least can see how you can level up. Okay, so I've done this level. I'm going to go to this one. I'm going to go to this one, right? You can track that. You've got choice in the games of where you want to go and what you want to do. And they have some sort of narrative. They create this sense of adventure, of mystery. There's a problem that has to be solved. And that makes me think of like those choose your own adventure books. If you ever read those as an 80s kid, right? You read a chapter, and then in the chapter, as the reader, you've got a choice. You can say, okay, do you want so-and-so to open the red door or the yellow door? And based on what you choose, it tells you to go to a certain page in the book, and the story continues along that path. So these are the 4 elements that I think are really important to add to your content. And we're going to work with these in just a minute. All right. So this is what we're going to do. You've got those 4 components. You've got the social, the competition, the choice, and the adventure or mystery narrative that you need. Okay. There are 5 different videos below, and you'll see A through E. They all deal with Gamify. They're different levels though. That first one, if you're thinking about really really going all in and maybe gamifying your curriculum, he's pretty hardcore. Okay. So what we're going to do is in just a moment, you're going to choose one of the videos to watch. And you can either do this on paper or pencil, or you can click on the little notepad and it should link to a copy of a Google Doc. But you're just going to take notes as you write. You're going to look for social aspect, competition, choices, adventure, or mystery, some sort of narrative. Now, these won't have all of them, but they'll have some. And you're just going to write down where you see that in that video. Okay. We're going to give you 6 minutes in your Zoom room to watch the video. And then we're going to give you 5 minutes to kind of talk about it with your group, about what elements did you see. And the conversation can be opened up to whatever you need it to be, what you liked, how you would do this in your classroom, and so forth. Okay. So give me just a minute, and I'm going to create these rooms again. Let me ask, are there any questions before we go into those rooms?
Kendra, can I point out a couple of
Yes,
things?
please do.
I just want to make sure, does everybody have a copy of the slides so that you can hit all the links? If you don't, I can make sure you got those. Okay. And there's one that says start at the 2-minute mark. That's because you just watched the first 2 minutes of how to do one of her games. And so you would just progress that one. And the very last one, there's 2 of them. I think the first one and the last one that are longer. They are like 17 minutes, and they're really good videos. We wanted to include them. But at a 5-minute mark, you might then skip to the end just to kind of get an idea of how the ending looks. But you'll still get some really good information about what's going on. There's lots of good tips in these videos. And then the last thing is make sure you mute yourself during that 6 minutes so that you can listen to it on your own, and then unmute yourself while you have that discussion.
Okay.
All right. So I'm going to go ahead and open the rooms. They're numbered 1 through 5. So if you can just substitute room 1 for video A, and if you want to watch A, go in room 1. If you want to watch B, go in room 2. Okay. You're going to get to choose your rooms. Okay. So they're open. You should be able to choose the one that you want to go in. Listen, I hope you had a good discussion about what elements that you saw. And again, you're not going to see all 4 of those elements, but hopefully you saw a few of them. And maybe say it again.
No, we were discussing that was missing certain things, but yeah, now you reminded us that it wasn't supposed to. But okay, I'll be quiet now.
No. That's please there. But because some of those are missing, some of those 4 elements, hopefully you kind of thought about, okay, how could I add that element into that gamified content? So what we would like for you to do is if you click on the image of the Padlet, it should open up the Padlet. This is our social piece of the lesson besides just talking to each other. And if you would, under each of the categories, you've got those 4 gamified elements, the social aspect, the competition or track progress, the choice, and that narrative of adventure and mystery. If you would add information from the video, what you saw, you may not be able to add to each one, but if you will add to the ones that are relevant to the video that you saw, we're going to give you just a couple minutes to do that. If you've never used Padlet before, you'll see that little plus underneath a little card with the title, like social aspect, and that'll open up a little box for you to type in your information.
You know, we always ask the students too for the title of their post to put their name if they want. And so that way you don't have to be logged in. So if you want to do that, that'd be great. And then in the body, type what you saw or what you would have liked to have seen.
Just don't hit in the title, if you put your name, I have students do this, after your name, don't hit enter because it'll post it. Just take your cursor and put it underneath where you type the body of it. Okay.
Kendra, also I had a question about what closed captioning program are you using?
Trying to remember. I don't know.
Is it your Zoom?
Maybe it is Zoom. I can't
It
remember.
has a third party, and so I just saw it appear recently on yours, so we didn't know what you were using.
I have it on YouTube. So when she's playing the video, you know, it's green. I changed the color. It's playing around with it. So I use that on YouTube. But I'm not sure. Maybe I did turn it on Zoom. I can't remember. I played around with Zoom so much with teachers emailing questions that I don't remember what I did. I'll check and let you know.
Okay.
So I'm going to open up the Padlet. Oh, that's not what I meant to do. Get you guys out of the way.
That's okay. I'll put the link.
Okay.
There you
go. Oh, wow. You guys are fast. So with the social aspect, yeah, groups, definitely. There's a video in the resource and I'll try to point it out, but this guy he ended up gamifying his entire content. So Kevin, wherever Kevin is, I know that is kind of your direction, but he created guilds based on like Game of Thrones. So the kids were in guilds and they competed for points and levels against each guild. So, but in the one, so I created a gamified lesson recently. I created several of them. And it's meant for hybrid classrooms. And so what I did was I added, because I figured we might all be remote and they could still do it, I added Flipgrid as that social aspect where kids, and hopefully you're familiar with Flipgrid, but it's a video response tool. So that was that social piece, just in case they weren't physically in the same space, they could still have that social piece using Flipgrid.
I finally made a Flipgrid assignment. She's so proud of me.
I'm proud of you. Awesome tool.
Yeah, I finally did it.
Cool. All right, I'm just looking at the comments. Awesome. Yeah, the escape room, that was a great example of like a scenario, that narrative. And this is the other piece that I wanted to mention. When you create a gamified lesson, you could create it on a worksheet, right? Like you could create it in a Word doc, but would that be really engaging for kids? That's a rhetorical question. The answer is no, it wouldn't. Think about all the games that you play or that you played when you were a kid. Like I remember, you know, old school Nintendo, right? Bright colors, music. You need to make it visually appealing for kids, right? So in the video that the guy, and I'll show you where it is, that put kids in guilds, it all took place back with the knights and things like that. So his narrative was on a picture of a scroll, right? He could have put that in a Word doc, but would kids be excited about the white Word doc? No. But the scroll, it kind of gave it that sense of, hey, this is different. This is really fun. And this is cool. Perfect. And then if you watch the art one, you know, of course, they talked about the badging as well. So hopefully you saw that one. And let me see if I can go back to.
Kendra, I just wanted to tell you, I do a Friday PBIS with some 4th grade students for Minecraft. And Minecraft is a little bit different. It's game-based, not gamification. But one of the things that we do with teams is they love going into the video backgrounds and filters. And so we do like the red hats versus the gray hats, or we just do some of those filters to choose teams. And it's kind of fun to do that way when we're sitting there. So that's something, if you wanted to choose really fun teams in a Zoom and you were doing something together, they could just use a video filter and there's their t-shirt. Yeah.
That's a great idea. So let me pause here for just a moment and give you an opportunity, if you would like to share something that you saw in the video that you just thought was really cool or that you can recreate, or because remember, you all watch different videos. So if somebody that watched the art video wanted to give like a one sentence of this is really cool that he did to inform the other people that didn't watch it, that would be awesome. So I'm going to just pause for a minute and give you an opportunity to share.
Oh, why is my power?
Hey, Pam.
Okay.
I'm going to
All
run
right.
get my cord real quick, okay?
What?
I'm going to run get my cord. I just got low
Oh,
battery.
I thought that was mine. We all thought that was ours. Everybody said, "Why is our power?"
Yeah.
Right back. I'll be right
Yeah,
back.
go for
All
it.
right.
That's funny.
There are a couple things in this art class video that I like. I like that students are. It looks like they're presented with options for projects, and then they're also responsible for turning in or making an adjustment on this Google slide that they created to say that they've completed this project. I don't know whether that's public facing or not, but if it is, I think that would be good, because I think that would add a social element where students could see what projects other students have done, which might motivate some like intrinsic collaboration.
That's true. Yes, I loved that one too, because I thought what he did was he took the whole idea of a choice board a step, just the next step, right, and made it a little competitive, kind of what you're talking about. And you were talking about Flipgrid earlier. I've seen a lot of people use that as a leveling up. One example that comes to mind is music. So they had in music they did belts. And so you would go and post a video of playing to hit like a white belt, and then I don't know all the colors for belting, but I know that brown belt's better than a white. So in that event, like they would just keep trying to go in and get a different belt. And if the teacher thought you'd hit that level, then they would make that video public. So then as a student, I could go in and see all the ones who'd hit the orange belt and listen to that and maybe see why I didn't hit it yet and can compare. So you're right, Kevin, that whole social piece of sharing those projects can be important.
Is the Flipgrid, like, is that something teenagers tend to like? Because like my 14-year-old doesn't like Flipgrid at all. But I wasn't sure if that's something more for the little kids, like not the little kids, but like maybe 4th and 5th graders as opposed to high schoolers, for example.
I have a lot of high school teachers really using it successfully. So
yeah, I think it's one of those things. It's like presentations. No kid likes to give presentations, but I think it's important that we make them do it, because you have to be comfortable speaking in front of people in life. So
right. That's probably what it is.
Yeah.
And Flipgrid just in the last 2 weeks released a mic only mode, which is brand new. So she doesn't have to show her face. She can just talk, and it's great for like podcasting. So that might be something that she could just do, the mic only mode, and not, show her face.
And I mentioned my Minecraft kids. What they do is they do a tutorial, they post it, and there's an option for them to share their screen. So they're never really sharing their face. They're just demoing what they're doing on their screen, and that's the video they post. So it's like an instructional, like a tutorial. Yeah. And so there's another option.
I mean, the kids are all so tech savvy. I have a couple students who put like an emoji over their face. So, I mean, hey, anything works. They can figure it out. But I think the idea is like, if you give them an option, so like if I use Flipgrid, it's in conjunction with another part of the assignment, so that they're not solely that I'm not just solely looking for the Flipgrid.
Right. So we talked about the art one. Did anyone watch the escape room, the digital escape room one that could share just a sentence about that one and some of the gamified elements?
So I watched the escape room, and it was with music, but they also incorporated like walking into a gym and having basketballs and different types of sports, and they had to find the right, I guess, the right sports ball to click on to get them to a clue. And then the clue would lead them to questions and answers. And then the right answer would lead them to the next room. And then the other three choices, which were wrong, would lead them to an oh no slide. And then they would go back to the question and they would have to find the right answer till they got to the end.
Awesome. So she had a narrative going in her escape room, which is really cool. Awesome. All right. Does anyone else want to share about there were several other videos that we've not talked about? I'm looking at our clock. Okay, so those are there. I would encourage you to go back and watch them because they're all different levels. If you're just dipping your toe into gamification, there's one that is gamifying a worksheet. I know it doesn't sound very exciting, but it's very clever and it would be an easy way to get into, to try gamification, all right? All right, so these are the tech skills that you saw. Hopefully you saw them linking slides, right? So you can link slides within a presentation. And what Pam and I have done, we've created little tutorial videos to show you how to do these things. So we feel like these are the tech skills that are really important for you to create that gamified whatever inside Google Slides. So how to set a background image, right, that they can't move around, how to create hidden and reveal text, which was in one of those videos, and how to create that transparent layer. And that was apparent in the escape room video. Are there any other tech skills, thinking about that video that you watched, that you think that, hey, I don't know how to do that, then I'm gonna have to learn how to do that?
Where did they get the backgrounds for the break room?
That's a great question. So when you create a Google slide, Kim, when you go to insert image, you can search the web and it pulls up Google right along the side. You can type in whatever it is that you're looking for. So if you're looking for a desert background, you can find it there, and you can set it as the background. Any other questions or any other ideas about tech skills that you saw that you would have to learn?
I just wanted to point out that I hadn't really heard of a transparent layer before. And, always I've been putting in images as a background. And the transparent layer is a way that if you have to go and change the background, move things around, you might want to check that one out. It's really cool. You just put a box over top of everything and then make that box, which is a default color, transparent. And that way, even if you weren't going to link it somewhere, they can't move things around. Mm-hmm. So that kind of keeps it permanent. So I liked that.
All right, so I'm going to move on, but these are here for you as resources.
Cool.
All right, let's see if I can get to the next slide. All right, Pam, my computer is, I've had issues with my
transparent layer.
There we go. There we go. All right. So these are just some things to consider. That social piece, these are different ways that you can add that social piece. We talked about adding Flipgrid, which is easy. You could do a collaborative Padlet, especially if we ever go remote again, you could do that. And that's what we practiced today. You want to be super simple and you're using Google Classroom, you could have them discuss on the stream. You could set up a discussion inside Canvas as that social piece. So those are just some quick ideas. Some ways that you can add that friendly competition. You can create a leaderboard to show student progress, and it can be really simple. I mean, it could just be on a Google Doc, right? And you could just keep a list of, for that unit or for that lesson, who's first, second, and third, okay? And then how can you start using gamification? My recommendation is to start small. So take a lesson that you've already done and then choose one or two of these elements and add it into that lesson. So you don't even have to create anything new. Just think about how can I add that friendly competition and how can I add a social piece, and start there. So these are extra articles and video examples for you. And I'm trying to think of, okay, so that last one that says designing an engaging class activity, he is amazing. He's got a YouTube channel, and this is the first video in a series of videos that he walks you through adding that gamification to your lesson. So I would really encourage you to watch that, at least that video, because it's just a lesson. It's not a unit. It's not an entire curriculum. It's just one lesson. So it's an easy way to start.
Kendra, can I interrupt you for a second?
Yeah.
I just wanted to say that Kendra, I was like, can I help? Can I do this? When we all chose one that we were going to do, and then we all would jump on the DLFs, we're going to help. And she and I both love gamification and game-based learning, but Kendra has an article. The third one is hers. So I just wanted to point that out. She's not going to tell you, but we made her put it on here. She just was published in Edutopia in December on gamification, and so has been doing so much research this year on it. So I just wanted to say thanks, Kendra, for representing Buchan County in this in Edutopia. And she was also interviewed by Edutopia this morning, so on gamification. So anyways, I thought it was nice that you guys saw that. And if you have something you're doing well, reach out and write an article and share it with people. Anyways, kudos to Kendra.
Thank you. So my article is there, and it has links of the games that I've created. And if you'd like to try them in your class, if you let me know, I'll send you a forced copy so that you can use it in your classroom. So these are templates that you can also use, so you're not starting from scratch. I created this second one, the Desert Google Slides Learning Adventure template. It's a lot like the ones that I've created in Google Slides, but it's just really the background. It's your leaderboard, or not your leaderboard, but your progression, where the kids can track their progression. And the slides are already linked for you. So you just have to come up with a narrative. But remember, it's not really about the narrative. We really have to start with our standards and our content, right? So start with those standards. What do you want kids to know? And then how are you going to engage them in that? That's where your narrative comes in, okay? Pam found this really cool Avengers superheroes template where kids can get into superhero like groups and have that competition piece. So that's pretty amazing.
I think it's slide 2 of that one's where we ended up making our avatars. And then there's the other one that's the web warrior over to the right that lets you be a little more creative. So
yeah, so these are the badges. These are the avatars. These are so much fun. They're free. They're really easy to use. So hopefully, and I think that's it. Oh, no, it's not. Hopefully that'll get you started. Go ahead, Pam.
No, I was just going to say, lots of times too, we kind of skip through that piece of letting kids personalize it, and, you know, creating their own avatar and having that ability to kind of represent. That's a huge social emotional thing that we're working on right now and allowing for that time. So, again, that's fun. It's even fun for you if you want to go create one and then start using those logos as you go into your gamification. Here we also had some ideas of, you know, again, these are things that Kendra's talked about: the experience, the theme, the adventure. But over on the left, these are ideas of things that we've seen to just sort of jazz up your slides to kind of give them that theme. And we wanted to say, do you guys have other ideas of themes? Because you know your kids.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else that pops into your head that you want to share? If you do, you can stick it in the chat. That comes later. If you think of something, we're going to, I think, close it
Yeah,
up and give you my learning plan.
Yeah, we're gonna hang on for a little bit, but I like to end these sessions with your intentions. You came here because you were interested in this topic. So so many times we go to trainings and we're like, oh, that's really cool, but then 2 months down the road, we haven't done anything with it. So before you leave today, I would love for you to set an intention and please make it public, because we know that if we write things down, we're more likely to do it. That's why they say write your goals down. So I would love for you to, in the chat, share your intention. What are you going to do with this information today? And it's okay if you don't have it all planned out. But I would love for you to share that. And we really do appreciate you guys being here today. And I will see if I can stick that URL in the chat for you.
While she's doing that and y'all are typing, if you're hesitant about starting with Google Slides, and you think I've got some tools, but it's going to take me a little while maybe to get started, go ahead. These are ones that you can start on that are programs that are already ready to go. For example, WordWall has a categorize one where you can just hit edit. You can put in your category. You can put what falls in that category. It's kind of like a matching, and add pictures. And it literally, I was showing it to someone today. It took me maybe 5 minutes to edit it, to do a vocab list of like 10 words that had images that they could kind of categorize. So these are some starting places if you still feel like the Google Slides is something that might take you a little while to get started.